So continuing with this video here, what we're going to be doing is adding in some color to it and also working with text boxes a little bit more. So this is the text box that we've worked with at the moment. I'll just zoom in on it. It's generally a good idea when you've made the text box and you're happy with the size that it's at to right click on it, select fitting and fit frame to content. That way the frame will only be as big as it needs to be, so it doesn't tend to cover up other frames that might be there. You'll notice this image in the background is very blurry. If I want to make that high definition, I can click View, Display Performance, High Quality Display, and that will put it at the proper resolution. The problem is, if I've got a lot of images and they're very high res, it's going to make it very slow to work with. Now, to add a color to this, you can see that this text is not black anymore for me. I've actually made it a different color. There's a few tricky ways to work with the color of text. Normally, if I've got a box, if I just draw a box, at the top here, I've got two different settings for my box. I've got the stroke, which is the color on the outside. You can see that that now has a blue stroke on the outside. And I've got the fill, which is the color on the inside. Now when you click on a text box, you're actually selecting the frame. And so it's going to ask for a fill color, which is none, and an outline color, which is also none. That's what I want them set at. I don't want my text box to have a box around it. Now this here, in order to actually change the color of the text, I'm going to have to highlight the text that I want to change the color of. At the top here, I can change the color. Now, if you don't have dark gray, which you probably won't, you're going to need to mix it. And there are a few ways to do this. The way that I would do it, so that you can use that color again easily, is by just selecting any one of these colors with the CMYK color modes on there, and just hit this new swatch button. It'll make an exact copy of that swatch. You can then double click on it, untick this name with color value, give it a name, and down the bottom here, this color type should be process and the color mode should be CMYK. You don't want any of those other ones at the moment. Now that's just a matter of playing with these sliders until you find a color that's pretty good. So giving it more cyan will make it more blue, more magenta will make it more red or pinky, more yellow will obviously make it more yellow, and then more black will darken that color. So this is the number that I've got here, 11, 13, 11, 88. It's kind of a light gray, or sorry, not light gray, dark gray color. And I'm not sure what preview does. Just leave that. Clicking OK will put that color into there. So now I've got my two colors. I can select it and change that color there, so to dark gray. It changes that color. And it's pretty much the same with any color change stuff in InDesign. Because it works off a print process rather than just mixing colors on the screen, you can only create colors from there. Photos, it makes an exception for, and imported graphics, but there is also the chance that some of those colors will not print. So if you're importing like a really bright yellow color, there may be a possibility that that color will not actually print like that out of the printer. Now, text boxes are something that we should get a pretty good understanding of. And what I'm going to do is make three text boxes here. It's W. One in this column, and then one larger one in this column over here. Now what I want to do is make sure that these two line up, and I can use that and move it until it snaps. It'll have a little green line as an inference point, which is quite handy. So now the top of these are together. Now what I want to do is I want to run this text from this box and continue it into this one here. Each of these text boxes has got another little box on it that you may have noticed before and not really sure what it does. It's this box here and this box here. This is an entry point and this is an exit point. What I can do is click on this exit point. Whoa, it's going really laggy for me now. So I can click on this exit point and then click on this entrance point, or just on this box. It'll show a little chain link, which means it's going to form a link between the two. Once the link is formed, an arrow will appear in the entrance, and on the other one an arrow will appear in the exit. If you want to see how these are linked together, you can go view, might be layout. There is an area where we can actually view those things. It looks like this has changed a little bit since I used it last, but it will be under View, Screen Mode, Extras, Show Text Threads, that's it. Show Text Threads, and that shows the link between those two there. So if you've got a complicated layout, it might be handy to turn that on. Now what I'm going to do on this text box is right click on it and fill with placeholder text. So that puts my placeholder text across there. I can change the character of this over here, but as soon as I link text boxes together, I can't change the character panel in here. I'll have to select the text and then change it like this. So I'll just change it to something else, slightly different. Ugh, that's not very good, but it will just have to do for now. I'll make it that one. Might be a bit small though. Okay, then I can change the font size up or down. I actually want to make it smaller so that there's some space at the bottom here. And then with this column on the right, I'm going to right click on it, text frame options. Actually, I won't do it that way. At the top here, there is a box to turn it into 2 columns. So I can right click on it and text frame options, or I can go up the top here, turn this up to 2 columns. After I have done that, there should be a button somewhere up here to balance the columns. There it is. So I'm going to balance those columns so that the left and the right column are balanced, and it leaves that gap back down the bottom. So when I'm done, I should have something that looks like this. With this one here, this box, I'm going to go to the paragraph panel. I'm going to double click on it and just click in that first line somewhere, that first paragraph, and I'm going to turn the drop cap first letter all the way up, and then maybe modify that by giving it a slight lean. No, I don't want to give it a lean because then it will go into that word, but just, I won't modify it at all. Click that, click W, zoom out, and there's my document. So fairly straightforward. Once you've done that, just save it as escape or whatever word you want to put in there. It doesn't really matter. This is more just about layout and using those guides and alignment to snap everything together, making sure everything looks neat and tidy.